I grew up learning how to meditate when I was 9. My father is the well-known author Deepak Chopra, who's very popular in Holland. And I found that while I kind of had learned all these lessons, I had kind of veered off the path. And that's something that happens often in life. I call it the messy journey. So when I teach people, it's really simple. I just say, close your eyes and mentally repeat the words, I am. And what you'll find is you start saying the words I am, and then your mind starts racing around to different thoughts. You get distracted, you think about your dinner, what you're going to wear tomorrow, and then you just come back to the words I am. So it's a gentle process between I am, thoughts, sensations, distractions, and coming back to the words. And what you find is your mind really starts to settle down. I think there are traditions that say you should do it twice a day for 30 minutes. I'm the first person to say I'm an irregular meditator, and I don't follow like a strict practice. If I can find 15 minutes in the day, I feel pretty good about myself and like I've accomplished something. But if I don't do it, I don't feel guilty either. People always ask me what it's like to be Deepak Chopra's daughter, and I feel that I'm very lucky that I grew up in a family that has always striven to share stories, to share wisdom. And I'm very fortunate because I've been able to work on my books and do other things because my father has such a global footprint. So I see the advantages that I definitely have more as a responsibility to give back to the world because I have those advantages. And but I think I also, and that was the goal of my new book, Living with Intent, which was to also share that the daughter of Deepak Chopra is living a messy, confused, trying to keep it together life just like everybody else. And so I wanted to kind of take away the kind of that people always think someone else has it better because we're all trying to figure it out. My father really tries to teach, did teach my brother and I, not to take life too seriously, actually. So I would say that that was the biggest lesson that he always taught us, which is, we always strive to be better people, but like if you kind of don't do something, don't take it so seriously. Let's not take life so seriously. He also obviously gave us many tools like meditation and other contemplative tools in our life to just help us feel more anchored and more secure. So I feel really blessed to have that. My mother, though, is also a really anchoring figure in our life. My father is out in the world speaking and writing and on the road, but it's my mother who's always been at home taking care of us, and not just us, but like our entire extended family and community. So in many ways, I actually, my mother is, I see myself more similar to my mother than my father. So it's an interesting dynamic. The biggest and most important lesson my mother always taught me was she was never embarrassed to be a mother and never felt that it wasn't enough to be a mother. She worked at home and she always cared for everyone, and she was never apologetic that she wasn't in the workforce. She's such pure love. And such pure caring and such an anchoring force in not just our family, but even in my father's entire community, that she's really much of the reason that even my father has had so much success, because she's been the anchor. I grew up being taught to really think about who am I, what do I want, and how can I serve. And so my first book, 100 Promises to My Baby, is the English title, really was thinking about how I could serve as a mother. My first promise was I promised to always remember that you are my gift from God, which I've really cherished the gifts that they are, even when they drive me nuts. But I have promises in there like I promise, I didn't say it, but I had it and I took it out. I promised to never say no to you, which obviously is impossible. I have promises like I promise to teach you by example, not just words. And that's something I strive to do, but like everything else, we kind of make mistakes and we go back. And again, for me, it's about anchoring myself in that intention and then forgiving myself when I waver, but coming back to it because it's something that's important to me. I wrote a book called 100 Questions for My Child many years ago when my children were younger, and it really was inspired by one day my daughter asking me, after she saw on television the bombings that happened in Spain. She was about 3 years old and she asked me, "Mommy, what's a bomb?" And I realized in that moment that the way in which I answered that question was going to shape her sense of security, her sense of safety, how she perceived the world. So it was a process when you become a parent and your children start asking you about the world. We shape their perception of life and of relationships and their hopes and their fears. So that book, the intent was to be mindful and conscious in the way that we answer our children's questions, which sometimes aren't even the words we use, but the way in which we answer them.